Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus arcade video. Today, as you can see, we're going to be playing some Dead or Alive on the Sega Model 2 arcade board. And since I've been hearing so much about Dead or Alive 6 recently, I just kind of got in the mood to play a little bit of the original game. And as you can see, it's being displayed on the 55-inch Samsung TV I have in my living room. And as you can see here, we have the Sega Model 2 stack in the cage, and of course this is the power wiring right here. This is the controller harness, which goes into the 24 pin on the front of the Model 2's filter board. Of course I have to use the GBS 8200 video converter, which I had made that cable out of some harness I had, which goes from the RGB on the front to the 5-pin RGB connector on the video converter board, and then of course the VGA plug from that board, you know, this big shiny arcade one, and the 4-pin that goes into the right and left audio and into the combiner there, go both into the VGA to HDMI, which of course allows it to play here. And of course, since I had this set up for capture, that all kind of filters through the Elgato Game Capture HD, which is sitting right there. But that's all I'm going to say about that. I'll probably throw a nice little picture of the PCB in one of these shots just to show you what that looks like. But let's go ahead and get right into this and play some Dead or Alive. And of course, since this is the USA version of the game, it's going to throw the whole old recycle it, don't trash it, the Tecmo logo, and then of course right to our title screen. And now what I've done is I've actually put the game into burst mode, which causes the game to have no safe zone and all danger zone. Basically, the reason why I wanted to do this was because I had I'd done a burst mode gameplay of Dead or Alive Plus Plus on the TPS ZN arcade hardware, but I'd never done a burst mode gameplay of this. And of course, just like I say every time I do one of these videos about this particular game, it's one of those many games that unfortunately none of the home versions ever did it justice. The Sega Saturn version was decent. Of course, the Plus Plus version, I mean the Dead or Alive Ultimate version, was basically this game on Sega Saturn, but smoothed out a little bit. But of course, the big downfall there was the loss of the 3D backgrounds. And now, before I'd done this gameplay, I actually did a little bit of research in my Gamist MOOC of the Dead or Alive arcade version, since a decent amount of the actual character moves were changed when they brought it from arcade to home version. So it's actually pretty good to have that basically instruction manual for the arcade game. And of course, this game was released on the Sega Model A and the Sega Model B arcade hardware. The version that I have here is the Sega Model A version, but other than it running on one board or the other, there is absolutely no difference in how the game runs. But if you're accustomed to the Sega Saturn version, a lot of the motion data and a lot of the graphic data is just so much different. And just generally how moves are pulled off just feels a bit different when you're actually playing it. It's kind of hard to explain it. Like, you're probably looking at the game right now and thinking, that looks exactly like Dead or Alive Ultimate. But of course, the 3D backgrounds are a big difference. But one of the moves that I like to make mention of all the time that Kasumi does in this game, that the motion data is a bit different, is the way that she does her backwards flip. It's not as... It's it's really hard for me to explain this, that she doesn't flip the same way. She just flips a lot differently. And another move that she does, when she jumps on the other character when they're down, she moves her arms a different way. It's like when they brought the game to Sega Saturn, and of course when they just cheaply ported it to Ultimate, they just brought that same data. But it seems like when this was ported to Sega Saturn, they just simplified a lot of the motion capture data. Probably because you couldn't have as complex moves there. And if you're wondering what I was actually trying to do to Jan Lee, I was trying to do that throw where more or less Kasumi pulls him into Frankensteiner and flips him backwards. But I guess when that move is like countered, it just looks like he slaps it away. And I know I probably have said it in absolutely every video I made about this game, but the music that the Sega Model 2 arcade board generates just simply sounds great. Like, all the games I have, be it Dead or Alive, Virtua Fighter 2, Dynamite Cop, they just all have really good sounding music, which honestly you wouldn't really expect from a ROM chips, as opposed to like AVX music on Dreamcast or CDDA audio on a like Sega Saturn or Sony PlayStation. And of course, the one thing I love about this game is how nice the character models look. They just have a very good like pedigree to them, that although the Sega Saturn version had a nice display to the models, they just look so much sharper in this version of the game. And now the one thing I will comment about the burst mode here, it can be very easy or very hard depending on how the AI wants to deal with you, because the AI will take full advantage of all the danger zone. So basically, you just have to be careful that they're not throwing you all crazy and everything. The one that is one of the worst is when either Jan Lee or Rido does like the DDT move where they grab you and then they slam your head down to the ground. Now unfortunately that doesn't happen in this gameplay, but as far as a danger zone move, that's probably one of the worst, or just about every slam that Tina does. Now, I won't kid you, I did lose a couple times in this gameplay, which of course I've cut those losses out just to shorten this gameplay ever so slightly. Now, one of the losses here was to Genfu, and then I lost a bunch of times to Rido. It was about 6 minutes of me straight losing. I think that equated to about maybe 5 times that Rido beat me. And his AI tends to rubber band just a bit in the game. Like, it's like, oh, you lost? Well, you're gonna lose a heck of a lot more. And then Rido just more or less keeps pouring it on. But one thing I definitely love in burst mode here, that you can see a hell of a lot better than you can in the normal mode, is the lava that's under the grating there. Normally you can't see that nearly as well because the actual safe zone is over it, which will usually be just the texture of the floor. But luckily here, you can see it a lot better, and you can see the detail of that texture more than you normally would. And now I know I've made mention of this in just about every Dead or Alive video I've done, but this stage in particular, because it's that moving danger zone that you wouldn't see until Dead or Alive 2. And then, of course, one of the cool parts is if you have Dead or Alive 5 Last Round on Xbox One or PlayStation 4, they've recreated this stage in that version, but they changed it a little bit, and you'll see that in the video I make about that. But I was really surprised that I got through Kasumi without losing, because there probably are very few times that I played this game, and like that match before the boss battle, I don't lose even once. And now if you see any glitches or any like thing that gets messed up in the graphics, that's actually just how the arcade renders it. If like your emulated version at home doesn't do that, that's pretty much because the emulator's actually fixing a glitch that the actual game code does by default. And a lot of those throws that Raito does where he just slams you down on the ground, he kept on doing those over and over again when I was trying to play this game, and there was nothing I could do to like counter that. So that's why a lot of the losses actually happened. And really, you just had to hit him with moves that he really couldn't counter, or just avoid his throws, because especially in burst mode, Raito just loves to throw you. And as you can see, since it's in burst mode and there's no safe zone, instead of being a normal throw where you just hit the ground, it has a lot more of an impact than what you normally would have. And I think I actually had almost given up at this point, because as you can see from when he had won before, he almost beat me, and then I just beat him twice in a row. And I know I make mention of this every time, but I just like how they have this real-time intro, which was not present in any of the home versions. You can only really see this in the arcade version running on the original Model 2 hardware. And although it's not what you actually do in the game, it's kind of like a pre-programmed thing showing various moves that the character did. And I think I might have made mention of this in one of my other videos, but since I have this in USA mode, it does not have the little endings, which, cool enough, the endings are actually all in that Game-ismook. In Japanese, of course, but if you use like a Google Translate app on your phone, it'll give you like a basic synopsis of what the actual story is, which is just a very small snippet of what the character is doing in this first iteration of the game back in 1996. Now, if you notice I erase a letter at one point here, it's because I didn't realize the kick button erases the letters, and the punch button selects them. And I thought it'd be cool if the character did different moves while doing the letters, but I didn't realize different buttons did different things when you're actually doing the enter your name. Well, that's another Dead or Alive arcade video running on the real hardware. Very fun game. I highly recommend it. If you can find an arcade, find a Model 2 board, or just play this on an emulator, it's a great game. Much better than any of the console versions. Well, this has been another Game Nexus arcade video, and I shall see you later. Bye.